We continue our Lloydminster City Council candidate coverage now, starting with Victoria McLean. McLean says Lloydminster is in need of more programs for families and has concerns about health care for seniors. Now here's Elise Cox with Victoria McLean.
Well, there's quite a long list of candidates this year. Why do you think you stand out from the others?
A fresh perspective. I think that's probably what a lot of candidates are saying, a fresh perspective. But I think that's maybe what we do need. I think we've had some of the same group running for a few years, and I think they've all done a great job as well. They've done what they're supposed to do, in the time that they've been there. But bringing in a woman or two women or however many that are voted in is going to bring a new, fresh perspective to the goings-on of council.
What do you think the biggest issue in Lloydminster is right now, and what would you do in the next 4 years to change it if you were elected?
The housing for the elderly, the care that is needed as someone ages. I think that, the facilities in Lloydminster to house the aging population is a concern. I've been following the group called the Concerned Citizens for Seniors group. And I haven't made it to one of their meetings yet, but I've been following their activity, and I'm really encouraged by what they're doing and their attempts to try to revitalize the old Dr. Cook building. It's quite a task for them. They've met with several department heads and whatnot. That's something that I would support. I would support that group, and in municipal government, I would be doing what I can to help support them in bringing the goals that they're working towards to fruition.
So you'd try to tackle the issue by being a voice for them on City Council?
Absolutely, yep.
Okay. Well, thanks again, Victoria, for coming in today. That was Victoria McLean for City Council.
Now we hear from Kevin Ramsey. Ramsey has lived in Lloydminster for 3 decades, working at Ulmer Chevrolet for 21 years, currently as a sales professional. I spoke with Ramsey earlier discussing his goals if elected. Well, Kevin, there is a long list of candidates. 16 people are vying for 6 spots on City Council. What distinguishes you from the rest?
Anybody that knows me knows that I am a very different person. I'm persistent, I'm tenacious, I don't give up easily, and I think that those are qualities that, as we're trying to change and help a city to grow, are very important features.
What do you think the biggest issue is currently facing Lloydminster, and if you were elected in for a 4-year term, what would you do over those 4 years to actually change it?
The problem I have is that because I have never been on council before, there's going to be a certain amount of growing. So to be able to say, okay, I'm going to go in there, I'm going to do this, this, and this, I think shows a naivety of what you're doing. Here's what I can promise. I'm going to go in there with the things that are concerns to me, and I'm going to do my best to move those forward.
Anything else you'd like to add on what you think you could bring to municipal politics?
Well, I certainly have a very different way of looking at things, and so I'll quite often come up with solutions that nobody else has thought of. That, I think, is irreplaceable because I come from such a different angle. So now we throw that onto the table, we can talk it through and come up with the best decision, having a lot more alternatives put on the table in the beginning.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, Kevin. That is Kevin Ramsey running for a spot on Lloydminster City Council. And we will continue our council candidate coverage tomorrow, hearing from Amid Romanian and Lisette Smith. Well, developing policy that will impact the community in a positive way is a top priority for the Lloydminster Chamber of Commerce. In this week's Chamber Chatter, Kelsey Bloxham looks at a driving force behind policy development.
Business advocacy is the most important thing that chambers across the country do. They are the collective voice of the business community, with the Lloydminster Chamber no different.
We as Chamber board members and also our Political Action Committee intentionally seek feedback from our members throughout the year. So we are always thinking of the fact that the policy resolution process is going to occur. So we just want to make sure that we give our members opportunity to express the concerns that they are facing.
And the results speak for themselves, with enforcement of blue zone parking one of their most recent accomplishments.
We heard that they thought that the parking bylaw wasn't being enforced as vigorously as it should have been, and that perhaps the fine for the violation wasn't severe enough. So upon presenting that to the City of Lloydminster, they reviewed the bylaw, subsequently increased the fine, and continued to enforce that bylaw.
Going forward, the Chamber is looking to work with the city to bring public transportation to the area. Kelsey Bloxham, Newcap News.
A run across the country is no easy feat, and after 7 months, Troy Adams has finally arrived in the border city. After a car accident caused brain damage at the age of 16, Troy has suffered from OCD, depression, and anger problems, but has used running as a way to cope and heal. After zigzagging his way across the country, Troy has raised over $50,000 for brain injury awareness.
I picked up running more so because I started realizing the mental benefits more so than I did the physical benefits. And that's kind of where this whole run came from. It was that simple. I started realizing the mental benefits, and then everything in my life started working its way back to normal.
After spending the weekend in Lloydminster, Troy will head to Bonnyville next week with the hopes of wrapping up the run by Halloween in Victoria.
Myself to make a change and help brain injury survivors throughout Canada and North America, and that's exactly what I'm trying to do now. Just get word out there that I guess just have hope. It does get better.
Well, we wish him the best of luck. Stories from Saskatchewan seniors are being immortalized, and staff here at the Legacy Centre are helping with the effort, asking residents from the Prairie Province about how things have changed over the past 90 years. Seniors of Saskatchewan are invited to send in and share their life stories in hopes of putting them all together in a single book.
I think it's very interesting to put them all into one place, because a lot of other people of the same age group, as well as younger seniors, enjoy reading about them. So we're accumulating them to make a book.
Staff are gathering stories from Saskatchewan residents 90 years and older in hopes that these stories will expand the province's history.
A lot of people learn a lot of history then of Saskatchewan, how people lived and made it in the tough times and dirty 30s and all that kind of stuff.
Lloydminster is the border city, so people who live in Alberta are also invited to send in their memories.
Of living in Saskatchewan, and they now live in Alberta. Great, we'll add them in.
Seniors looking to share their life experience can send in their stories through email or mail to the Saskatchewan Seniors Mechanism in Regina. The book is expected to be published in 2 years. Well, for about 4 years now, Southridge Community Church has been holding an art exhibit, allowing area artists to share their work. And this week's Arts and Entertainment feature, Gerard Lampow meets some of those local artists.
It's made from peacock feathers.
Interior decorator B. Stanley is one of 11 area artists who took up the challenge of interpreting themes from the creation story in the book of Genesis.
My creation for it was to do an arrangement out of it and try and reveal to people what God had created in a peacock.
Her husband Gordon is a stained glass artist who was on hand sharing his skill.
You know what the general theme is. So it's up to you to design something, whatever you want, that will fit into that theme, your interpretation.
The Genesis exhibit in the beginning is hosting pieces from the likes of Michel Andres, Rich Kaminsky, Graham Friesen, Kristen Heatley and Janet Magdans, who delved into the ocean depths.
I Googled fish and just started looking them up and creating fish and painting them with some underglazes and then putting a gloss on top of them.
Another piece is based on the theme, Let There Be Light.
I probably made different pieces for it 25 or 30 times, and then I would just touch it and it would fall over and break. So it was very much a piece of patience, and when it actually went and was finished, it was like, oh, wow.
The church's reflections form the basis for the arts themes, and everyone is welcome to come and see.
The art exhibit will remain up for the months to come, and anytime that the church is open, they're welcome to come by and enjoy the exhibits.
Gerard Lampau, Newcap News.
Harvest is about 90% complete across the region, and as the busiest season draws to a close, farmers usually start to relax. But this year is a little different. In this week's Agriculture Report, Peter Quinlan explains how the new open market is leaving grain growers with some very important decisions to make.
Area farmers are finishing up the final touches to their harvest, but for some, getting into the fields this season came with some unpleasant surprises.
I've heard from farmers in the southern areas and from the western areas that have had 3 hailstorms on their crops just in September. So there's been that kind of damage. There's been damage from the bugs, there's been damage from the heat and humidity.
While some farmers are facing variable yields, all area grain growers will be up against an open market this year.
It's definitely been a big transition. There's lots of confusion out there still.
Federal Agriculture Minister Jerry Ritz says he's heard only positive feedback from farmers.
It's amazing the enthusiasm out there. I've had some tremendous emails and face-to-face conversations with farmers that are embracing the ability to market their own grain. I'm talking to guys that have sold 20 and 30,000 bushels off the combine, $9.29 net they were receiving.
Ritz believes the changes are for the better and says it's only a matter of time before everyone sees the benefits.
There's a growing optimism that this is going to work and work very positively. My concern has been one of logistics, but the whole system has stepped up. We're moving product into the marketplace. There's a growing demand around the world for that top quality product that we grow here, and it's just great to see the optimism out there in the farm sector.
And through this difficult time, Klimek reminds farmers that she is around the region, willing to meet with them to help with the transition.
There is lots of questions out there, and there is a lot of concern and a lot of uncertainty among farmers. So we're here to help them through those times and hope that they, support us like we've supported them in the past.
Peter Quinlan, Newcap News.